Hey everybody, I'm Yvonne Williams with Back to Earth Creations, and in this video we're going to be doing some experimenting with making our own opalescent polymer clay. So let's get started. So prior to this experimentation, I had just been using the Opal clay by Primo Sculpey, and this is the result I had been getting from that. And you can see it keeps this kind of pinkish milky color as it bakes. So today I'm going to be trying Pardo Professional Art Clay by Viva, and you can see it is a very nice like white, and comparing the two colors side by side you can really see. And also, I don't know if the camera's going to be picking up on it, but the neighbors' kids, the whole bunch of them have recorders, and they have just figured out how to like trill. So please be patient with me as they pursue careers in professional music. So, and here you can see this is just the translucent by Primo Sculpey, and just the color difference there. So we're gonna get to see that difference. Here is some translucent by Sculpey. Again, different colors going on there. And then I actually have another brick altogether of Kato polyclay in I know, right? Just all their work. This one I believe is translucent also. I don't know where it says it. Kato polyclay. Translucent, there it is, mostly buffed off, but this was translucent. So it's pretty close in color to the Primo. A little more vibrant though, I feel like. So this one though is one that I have not seen in Hobby Lobby or Michael's. It was actually very generously gifted to me. So I'm very excited to experiment with it. That way we can see if we want to invest in it for ourselves in the future. So I'm opening it up. There's a little bit of something in it. There we go. Now, keep in mind, this has been sitting in my drawer for probably way longer than it should have. I'd meant to use it sooner, but this is just how it's come along. So we'll get to see. Oh man, that is quite crumbly. And so whenever I'm working with a very crumbly clay, so I want to make sure there's no other clay bits on my blade, which is easier said than done. I will often go through and slice very thin layers of the clay. Just like so. And then you can take a roller. Again, trying to make sure you're not going to be cross-contaminating with any other colors of clay. Get all the little crumbly bits and filthy stuff off your work surface. And then I'll take just that super thin piece and roll it. Again, another super thin piece, and roll it into the first. And then from there we can kind of start folding and rolling and getting it to condition a little bit. And again, though, you can see just how much, like my own, I even washed my hands before starting this, and it's still just very, very, very crumbly, very, very quick to pick up anything dirty. Okay. And so I think what I'm going to end up doing is using just a touch. I hate to cross-contaminate with different brands, but you can see how soft and supple this Sculpey translucent is. So I'm going to use that almost as a clay softener, just to let it start incorporating. And that way we can just kind of smush and fold and roll. I do have a very handy tool called a never need, that if I were doing this just for myself, I would go over and use that. But not everybody has the luxury of one of those tools, so I wanted to present this from a very approachable, something anybody could do, even if this is your first project. But yeah, you can see how much that just, totally crumbled apart. So this might actually give us a really interesting veining with, oh my god, I hate recorders. They've been doing that for about a week and a half now. Just every day. They're getting better though, it's good to practice. Okay, so adding another little bit. It's just kind of folding and smushing. And you can see this is probably going to give it a really interesting veined effect. The two tones of translucent clay. Just folding and rolling. I'm hoping it's actually incorporating well and not just acting as like a mortar, like a binding agent. And just folding and rolling to incorporate. So I wanted to do a tutorial on how to do a faux opal, but it's become almost more of a tutorial on how to recondition or bypass conditioning a super crumbly clay. Okay. So this will probably be the last bit that I incorporate, and you can see still it just crumbles so quickly. And it's about 80 degrees today, so there's not too much more I could do to heat it up, short of baking it. Okay, so this is going to give us a nice little bit for making a little cab, though, I think. Just folding and rolling. I don't know, let's see if I can add maybe another piece. And so by adding just one super thin little layer at a time, it keeps it from just becoming a giant crumbly mess, I feel like. And I'm doing this in full time because I want to give you guys a very realistic perspective of how much time this will take if you're working on it. And it's, I don't want to edit it down to 30 seconds and be like, and voila, it's that easy. And then when in reality, it's not just that easy. So, but if you are interested in seeing shorter versions, more edited versions, sometimes with voiceover, sometimes with just text of my tutorials, please check out my tidbit playlist. And that's where you will find usually I've edited my videos down to be 5 to 10 minutes for the tidbits. And that way you can learn the technique without all the jibber jabber and just get straight to the point. So this is working out really nicely. Starting it with just a little bit of the Sculpey clay has really helped. I'm going to add in one more little piece because I want to see how far that little bit will have stretched in conditioning, and I want to try to get this back to as close to its true original color as possible. And also something that's going to complicate it further, but that I think lends itself to the experimentation. This bakes at 275. This bakes at 248 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're going to have to see how this works out. I'm going to set it to the lower number. So again, good thing I didn't use more of that Sculpey. Okay, so now we have what would be our hopefully very clear, translucent, clay. I'm going to open up. This is a very light, cellophane-ish crystal flakes. And I'm actually just going to take the end and just dip it into these flakes. And then I'm just going to fold, and anything that falls out I am just going to pick up. And I'm going to pretty quickly, I think I'm going to get another little helping out. Okay. And then I'm going to put the cap back on because I do not want to make a mess. And this was just a little sampler. There'll be links to all the different tools and materials being used down in the video description below. Oh gosh. Sorry for the dog noises. Okay, so folding and rolling. Now be careful though, because this stuff is pokey. And that's something I run into quite a bit with the pre-made opal clay, is it is like super duper pokey. And that's something that I kind of have to just, oh my god. I don't know if you guys can hear, but it's like they're blowing a dog whistle, except for that I can hear it. So this is using quite a bit of the medium to be able to get a nice opalescence. So just picking that up, making sure I don't get any little hairs and fuzzies and things. And so now to get everything to align, what I'm going to do is, instead of rolling it, I'm going to fold and flatten with our roller. Like, instead of rolling it like tube style in my hands, I'm going to try to make it be very flat, like layered, the way that you would maybe if you were working with a pearl clay and trying to do like a mica shift or something. There we go. Roll and fold and roll. Oh my god. It hurts. Okay. So I don't know how much of that is going to show through, so I'm actually going to just do just a little bit more. There we go. Okay. So that'll be all we use. And you could use this, I'm sure, with a bunch of different like glitter flakes and stuff. But I really want to see how it translates, and I'd rather do more than less, because your worst case scenario, we'll just get a good sparkle going. Okay. Folding, rolling. Oops. It's starting to get kind of crumbly and finicky. Okay. So there we go. So now I'm actually going to shape this into our cabochon that will then be baked. Go roll it out a little bit. Just pressing in my fingers. And also, I want to get this just as smooth as I can, because we'll be able to come through and sand it afterwards. So I'm actually going to take this piece of plastic wrapper. You could use like a sandwich bag or some saran wrap. I'm going to lay this down, and I'm going to use it to smooth out my surface. There we go. So it's not perfect, but it's a start. There we go. And now, let me see, here's a tile we can use. You could use any old ceramic tile. I have this old marble like cheese board that I'm actually going to transfer our whole thing, our whole cabochon over onto. and I'm going to reposition it and press it down and rub. Again, to try to get any wrinkles, any lines, any kind of... The smoother we make this now, the less sanding we're going to have to do from a shaping perspective later. So there we are. Hopefully nice and smooth, and that is what it looks like before baking. So let's go get this baked and then we will see what it looks like. So I took it directly, the cabochon directly out of the oven and put it straight into some cold water. And you can see it's already quite nice. I could have done to add more of the opal flakes, I think, but I was giving it a pretty nice effect. And it's a very milky color. I'm really interested in seeing how it looks as it polishes up. So I'm going to start with some wet dry, this is Sculpey brand, but just a wet dry sanding paper at 600 grit. You could go 400, but I don't have a whole lot of reshaping to do, so the 600 should be fine. And I want to go through and clean up all of my surfaces. I'm going to leave the back unpolished because I'd really like to see, have a reference of comparison between it's polished and unpolished. Let me go turn that for us. And we still have the lovely soundtrack via the neighbor's kids. But yeah, just gonna keep kind of sanding and doing this. I mean, that's nice. I like that. This is definitely tedious and time consuming, but worth it. I really feel like. And when you feel like you have an even surface, sorry, I wasn't quite pleased with how the shaping on the bottom was, so I actually put my sandpaper flat on the bottom, and then you can just kind of run it along. And I'm doing a little bit of like as I drag it, I rotate it. That way it hits a different, and I feel like that's going to give me a much smoother round end. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. Okay, and so there is our 600 grit paper. I'm going to move up to, I think this one is an 800. Let's see what else we have. Yeah, I'm going to move us up to an 800. And I like to work with just a dish of water underneath my project. It can get kind of messy, but that's alright. And you can just see how they sparkle. And you can see that by making sure there weren't any pits or pock marks or anything like that right from the beginning, it makes this step so much easier. Okay, and so now I'm going to move us up to, this is 1200 grit sandpaper. And you can find these typically in like the automotive section. But also, I really like, I'll have linked down below the pack that I get from Amazon that has up to a 3000 grit. It's really nice and super affordable, like way more affordable than what I've been able to find at Walmart or Home Depot or any of the big box stores. That, and also, if you guys follow my Amazon links, those are affiliate links. So anything that you purchase through there, whether it's the product I've linked to or something else, actually really helps out my business. So like we get a portion of that, and it's very, very helpful. And you can actually use that in conjunction with, I believe, the Smile, the you know, the charity thing that Amazon does. So you know, feel free to shop to your heart's content. I really like what Amazon does. All the just the diversity of products and sellers you can purchase from. Excuse me. Oh wow, that's really nice. We don't currently have it set up to where our affiliate links work internationally, but I'm working on it. There we go. I've got water trickling down my arm. And so now the last one that I'm going, the last grit I'm going to be using is 2000 grit. And like, I mean, it just feels silky at this point. There we go. You know, I say that, but I just get super absorbed into polishing, because it's like, how much shinier can we make it? So yeah, I do feel like I could have gotten away with adding more flakes. But to compare that now side by side to, and this is the polished version of the Primo Accents Opal clay. I don't know, I feel like this one has a little bit more depth to it. For a more accurate comparison, I do wish I would have added more of the sparkles, which is the fact that this is like 1/4 of an inch thick, and I feel like you can see so much depth through it. So I'm pretty pleased with that, you guys. I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'm gonna buff it, and I'll meet you guys here for those next steps. So I have my Tiny Pandora UV light and the brush on UV finish. This is the removable tray with some foil set up on it. And now I have both of the pieces. This is the Sculpey Primo Accents opal, and then this is the opal that we mixed up ourselves with just a touch of Sculpey to act as a softener on this, where's the label? Pardo art clay, which seems to have baked very nicely. It's not flexible at all. It's good to go. Polished up real nice, just as nice I think as the Primo. And so I'm going to lay both of these down. And then there's very nice, it's kind of like the brush that you would use for doing nails, like synthetic nails. And I'm going to just dip into here. This is a pretty strong odor. It actually smells just like a nail salon, actually. And so I'm just getting a bit onto our brush and painting on. Should probably be wearing gloves and a respirator, but I did not think that far ahead. No, and I think we'll actually be able to do a couple of coats of this. It is self-leveling, which is really nice. If you don't have a lamp, I think you can use the sunlight on this, but don't quote me on it. You'll want to go check out the Tiny Pandora site directly to get it straight from her. Don't quote me on it. Okay, so now I'm going to coat our other cab. It's really nice that it is self-leveling because we don't have to worry about any brush strokes. And I'm actually going to be comparing and contrasting quite a few different brush-on UV resins. And, but I'll be doing that in future videos. Okay. A little bit more of a shine. Okay, that gives us a nice thick layer. And if you do not cure this stuff, it just stays wet. There we go. Okay, and then I just store the brush in some foil. That way this stuff doesn't get everywhere, but oh boy, man, is that stinky. And now I'm just going to take this, slide it into our light box and turn it on. So it's been about 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm going to pull this back out. Now that is interesting. So on the Primo, it came out just beautiful. Sorry for traffic noises. It did run a little bit. I guess I globbed it on too thick. But I'll be able to come through with like snips or scissors and kind of clean that up. It was just fine on the Primo. But on our Pardo clay, you can see that actually bubbled quite badly. Oh no. Well, and I don't believe I got any bubbles trapped in it. I mean, I did it the same way on both of them, and there are no bubbles on this one. So I don't know too much of what to do about that. I guess I could sand it back down. That's something that's very interesting. I'm gonna have to do more research, and I'm really interested in hearing from y'all. Have you tried using the Deep Shine UV finish on Pardo polymer clay? Because that is so weird that it would do it on one and not the other. It does make a real nice hard coat though. Very nice. Whew. That smell though is so much in the house. If y'all have any questions, comments, or ideas, please leave those down below, and I am really interested in hearing from you guys. So all things considered, with the exclusion of being able to get a wider variety as far as color inclusions or, you know, flake density goes, I think I prefer the Primo accents. Now also, too, another thing is if I didn't want the color as dense on this one, I could take this Primo Sculpey and cut it with more translucent clay to kind of dilute the intensity down. And then I could always add in, too, add in the different color of flakes and stuff. So it's real interesting. More data is required. So neat. So I'm not gonna lie, that did not go down the way I expected. Like I did not anticipate the bubbling on this one. If it's gonna focus. Ooh, camera. You're gonna focus for me? There we go. And so you can see, especially when the light hits it, you can see that little bit of bubbling. Didn't do it on the Primo one. So that's weird. Until I put the UV finish on, I was thinking I liked the Pardo better. It was a little whiter, a little less like kind of, I don't know, like pinkish, peachy pinkish maybe. But if it's gonna react negatively with stuff, and I don't even know if that's necessarily what's gonna happen or what is happening. So I'm gonna do more research, more data is required. I might try it again on the back and see how that goes, to see if maybe I put it on too thick, like I don't know. You know, but I'm definitely open to y'all's input and your thoughts and ideas on your experiences with these two different kinds of clay, and any ideas you have for maybe future videos or things that I could have done differently. I do love hearing from you guys. So like I had said, if you have any questions, comments, or ideas, please leave those down in the video description below. And if you would like to support the creation of my work, these free tutorials, as well as my fairy house giveaways and all the different things that we do here at Back to Earth Creations, please consider following me on social media as well as Patreon. Links for all that will be down in the video description below as well. So on that note though, I'm gonna get back to it and kind of try to figure this out. But until next time, you guys, happy crafting. Bye.